Hello. Welcome to another of my walking and thinking kind of videos. I was watching a live video but not live anymore. I never come in time for any of my favorite booktubers videos just because I don't watch that much booktube now. I'll catch up with everyone once I go back to the UK. But I managed to get some time to watch part of the live video that Steve Donaghy and Jared Henderson made together. Interesting crossover. And I heard Steve Donaghy making a statement that he's made in the past that is very not polemic at all. It's actually he was defending an idea that is very much generalized and that you can see reflected in any Waterstones or any library of your country, which is the two main distinctions between books, between fiction and non-fiction. And I am not here to refute his point of view or to even question it. Well, I am definitely here to question it, but not in a not from a position in which I fully disagree with it, because I use those terms to refer to books just because they are very useful. But I definitely wanted to present here some thoughts and see where they get me, because I've been thinking about this for a while. I haven't prepared this video. If Steve Donaghy gives me the pleasure of responding to this video, then I might sit down and think this more deeply and try to make a more elaborated argument. But basically, what the whole thing is about is Steve Donaghy was saying that there's two main divisions between books, and then everything else is subdivisions. There is fiction and there is not fiction. If it's not real, it's fiction, and if it's real, it's non-fiction. I keep seeing problems with this category, and I think that someone like Steve Donaghy would see those problems as well, because he's in his contention against philosophy, he has claimed many times that there's no such a thing as truth with a capital T, not such a thing as reality with a capital R. But to say fiction and non-fiction is not an open debate kind of category. Like, it's already sort of stating that which has been written in the position of non-fiction is real, and that which has been written in the position of fiction is not real and does not represent a reality in a more faithful manner than something that is in non-fiction. You can kind of see already how I have problems with that, and that's why if I were to divide books between two places, in theory, I don't know how this would apply in practice, and this is why I continue using, also because I want to be understood, but this is also why I continue using the divisions fiction and non-fiction, although I do have my philosophical problems with them, is to divide books between literature and philosophy. In literature, you find books that are focused more than anything on the form, and that do not have a will to truth, that do not have a pretension, that their main pretension, the thing that is structured in the book, the core of the book, is not to tell a truth, but to lay out a story of some kind, to write down certain narrative, regardless of whether that narrative is true or not. In literature, the truth does not play a fundamental role, even if it is part of the mechanisms at work. And on the side of philosophy, we have a will to truth, to knowledge, to understanding. There is a clear attempt to portray some kind of reality. The reason why I find philosophy a better term than non-fiction is because philosophy, no matter what Steve makes us believe, is not necessarily, because there is no consensus about what philosophy is. And yes, of course, there is this moment of meta-narratives, which is the one that Steve is always sort of criticizing. this moment of like wanting to create big narratives of the spirit that explain the whole universe, starting from some fundamental truth, and that is the most embarrassing aspect of philosophy, although it's very fun to see it be attempted and to see it fail completely. But that is only one aspect. Way more ancient than that, philosophy is nothing more and nothing less than a friendship with knowledge. That's one way that you can translate the terms philosophy. It's the etymology. So, friendship with knowledge, will to truth, these are more relative terms, which is to say, books written on the side of philosophy would be books that attempt to portray reality, books that attempt to tell a truth, not rather like as opposed to books of truth or books that are not fiction or books that are real as opposed to non-real. Because I think we would agree that there is not, like, fiction influences the world. Religion is an example of that. But also something, first of all, like, where would we put religion? That's another thing, right? Is it in fiction? Is it non-fiction, right? But maybe a less intuitive case of it would be the Constitution. Like, what if if right now we take a bunch of books, law books, about the Constitution, about the human rights, things like that. Those are also fictions. So it doesn't feel like the term fiction and non-fiction really contain the fullness of the genres and subgenres that they attempt to represent, while philosophy, to me, it does. And I like to see if I am failing to see something here, please tell me, because I think I've explained enough for you to understand my point. And same with the term literature, right? It's not that it's not real, it's that its focus is on the form rather than the content. And I think that those are the two main differences between books. Is it more focused on the form, not regardless, but giving less importance to the content, that's to the truth of the words being said? Or is it more focused on the content, caring less about the aesthetic aspect, about the form of the channel through which those words are being said? I think this is a fascinating subject, not as self-evident as it might seem. I feel like, yes, one of the possible definitions on philosophy is the study of that which is taken as obvious or evident, and the questioning of those evidences. It's not a definition I'm fully satisfied with, but it's definitely better than one which puts philosophy in the position of having to defend basically the grand narratives of our world. I don't think that in order for you to defend or want philosophy or read philosophy, I don't think that every philosophy book is based upon the belief that there is such a thing as a truth with a capital T or anything like that. I think that that's a very specific period of philosophy that had a beginning and an end, and that it's very characteristic of our academic philosophy, of a very sort of like entry-level philosophy into entry level into the philosophical world, because it's the modern period. That's the one that's being more famous for writing these kind of narratives. Yes, I don't think I have anything else to ask. I get turned on by the camera and I just keep going, especially with topics like this. But yes, please, Steve, give me an answer to this. Tell me, what do you think and why this is such a dodgy differentiation between books? I'd love to hear more about it, and have a good day.